Hi, and welcome to Genealogy Coffee Break, brought to you by us, the genealogy librarians at the Center for Jewish History. My name is Moria Amit, and I'm here with my colleague J.D. Arden and other library staff. Today, we'll show you how to use the largest Holocaust-era online databases to recover your family's lost names and stories. This episode is applicable to you if you are seeking to learn the fate of family members who lived in Europe when World War II broke out, or if you are seeking to fill in gaps in your knowledge about the Holocaust victims and survivors in your family. During today's episode, feel free to send us your questions via the comments box and we'll answer them live. If we don't get to your question or you're not watching live, you can always email your questions to us at gi@cjh.org. Who will find this program worthwhile? This series is intended for a general audience. Beginners or advanced researchers are welcome. You do not need to be Jewish to find our research tips useful, and we focus on free online resources that can be accessed from home. Did you know that we offer free Zoom workshops? So who can participate in these workshops? Community groups from nonprofit organizations, religious organizations, and schools. And your group doesn't have to be Jewish. Topics range from online genealogy basics to preserving your family photos and documents. And for Jewish groups, workshops can be tailored to specific regions of the diaspora, including Ashkenazi, Sephardi, and Mizrahi. Please email us at gi@cjh.org to schedule your group's Zoom workshop. So today I'm going to be covering 4 starting points, the websites of the following institutions: the U.S. Holocaust Memorial Museum, the Yad Vashem, or Israel's Holocaust Memorial Museum, Arlson Archives, which was formerly known as the International Tracing Service, and the Joint Distribution Committee, or JDC Archives. Before I delve into those specific online resources, there are a few key understandings that I hope you will take away from today's presentation. First, there is no single database that contains the names of all Holocaust victims and survivors. There is some overlap between the various databases that I will be discussing today, but there are also significant differences, so it's important to search each of these. There are many records pertaining to victims and survivors that are housed in libraries, archives, and museums worldwide, but that are not yet searchable by name or are not even online at all. And finally, unfortunately, there are many victims whose names are not documented in any existing records. So starting with database number 1, that's the U.S. Holocaust Memorial Museum's Holocaust Survivors and Victims Names database. When I'm just getting started looking for someone whose fate I don't know, I prefer to start with this database as it includes the names of both victims and survivors. So it contains millions of names of individuals persecuted under the Nazi regime, coming from a broad range of historical documents, including ghetto, concentration camp, and displaced persons camp lists. And around 60% of the name data and resources included in the database are available online. So now I'm going to do a quick demo of how you would use this database. So I'm looking for a Bernard Singer, and since I know that his name may have been spelled in a few different ways, I'm going to use the fuzzy search option. And especially if you're looking for somebody with a common name, I recommend putting in a couple of other pieces of information. So in this case, I know that he was born in 1894. I'm still going to put a plus or minus 5-year range. And I know he was born in the town of Auschwitz. Not the camp, but the town itself. And it's important to keep the include geographic name variants box checked so that it will also find records where your family's towns of origin are listed in other languages or spellings, like the Polish spelling of Auschwitz, which is Auschwitzem. So I'm going to go ahead and click search, and there are 2 potential matches here. I'm going to click on the second one. And this comes from registration forms that were completed by the Jewish inhabitants of Krakow, Poland in 1940. And here's a summary of the information found on that form for Bernard Singer. And As you can see here, you can request a digitized copy of the original document by submitting this document request form. And I've gone ahead and done that, so I'll show you what the form looks like. The language of the form may not be in English, it may be messy handwriting, so you may need some help interpreting the information on the form, but it will typically include a few more pieces of information than what you've seen on the summary, so it is important to get the original document. And also crucial in this case, you see that his photo is attached and you have his original signature here, so that can be quite meaningful for you and your family. It's also important to note that not all documents specify the person's ultimate fate. So here we know that he lived in Krakow in 1940, but we learn nothing about his circumstances beyond that date. When you are unable to find someone in the names database, then there are other options to try. First of all, I would recommend try to search for lists. You can search the lists by the place where your family was living just prior to the war, during the war, or post-war. And for those that have been indexed, you can browse or search the names in the list, and then once again easily request a digital copy of the original document that contains your relative's name. To learn more about the broader context of your family's experiences, search the museum's collections by place name, again, like the town that your family was living in prior to the war, an organization that may have assisted them, or a subject matter such as children in hiding or partisans, if that's a circumstance that's appropriate for your family. These collections include testimonies, historical photos and films, artifacts, and governmental, institutional, and personal documents. Over 80,000 of these have been digitized and can be viewed online. If you are still having trouble finding the person that you're looking for, or found something but it's not available online, then I would recommend the last option, which is to email the Survivors and Victims Resource Center. Moving on to database number 2, that's Yad Vashem's central database of Shoah victims' names. This is the largest database of Jewish Holocaust victims' names, with about 4.8 million out of the estimated 6 million total victims. 60% of the names come from historical documents, including lists detailing confiscation of assets, deportation, and deaths. And 40% of the names come from a unique resource, which is the pages of testimony that have been submitted by surviving family members and friends to the Yad Vashem Museum. So now I'm going to do a demonstration of how you would search the Yad Vashem database. We're going to stick with Bernard Singer. And again, noting his place of birth. So as you can see, there are matches that may include other individuals named Bernard. So in this case, I'm going to sort this list by birth year. And I'm looking for the Bernard Singer that was born about 1894. So as you can see, there's a few potential matches. So I'm going to open the first one. And this is from an original historical document. And you can click on the document itself to open it up. And it might take a few seconds to load. And here we go. This comes from a list of Jewish residents of Ludwigshafen who were deported to Gurs camp. And if we zoom in, we see not only Bernard Singer, but his whole family, including his wife and his 5 children. So that may be a way for you to find names of relatives that you've never even heard of. Moving on to the third result here, we see one of those pages of testimony, in this case submitted by Chaya Halperin, and you can open the page itself. In this case, it's written in Hebrew, so if you're not familiar with Hebrew, you may need to have someone help you translate it. But as you can see, there's more information on this form than what is on the summary page, and the most crucial piece here is the name address and relationship of the person who submitted the testimony. So here we learn that Chaya Halperin is the daughter of Bernard Singer, and her address at the time that she submitted this testimony, which was in 1997. So if you were interested in contacting Chaya Halperin, that might be an important clue for you. And you can also click on her name, and it'll pull up a list of all of the other pages of testimony that she submitted to Yad Vashem. So this might be another tool for discovering family members who you've never even heard of. Once again, you may find that you are unable to locate any matches for the family members you're looking for. In that case, I would recommend searching the Documents archive, which includes lists, again by place name, organization, or subject. The Documents archive is the digitized portion of Yad Vashem's archive. And if you find a matching list, you can open it right away on your screen. The Documents archive also includes things like governmental and institutional records and personal papers, letters, diaries, and memoirs. And for more of that contextual information about your family's experiences, you can search the museum's collections for other kinds of digitized material like photos and testimonies. And once again, if you are unsuccessful in finding information through these means, or you find something that has not yet been digitized, you may email the Reference and Information Department of Yad Vashem. Moving on to database number 3 from the Arlson Archives, which was formerly known as the International Tracing Service. This is the world's most comprehensive archive on the victims and survivors of Nazi persecution, containing information on some 17.5 million people. And although 90% of the Arlson Archives collections have been digitized, they are not all viewable from home, and only a small portion of these are searchable by name. The part that you can search and view from home is called the Online Archive, and it focuses on the following themes: documents on displaced persons, such as questionnaires from the International Refugee Organization, often with photos attached, and documents on individuals held in ghettos, concentration camps, and Nazi prisons. These include personal documents about individual prisoners, which are particularly comprehensive for Dachau and Buchenwald, as well as transport lists and prisoner lists from the various camps. So now I'm going to show you what a search of this database looks like. And here you can search, as you can see, by topic or name. And if you're looking for an unusual surname, then I would recommend just putting in the surname itself. So in this case, I'm looking for a Laura Ochotnicki, so I'm putting in her last name and leaving the box checked that says include synonym, which will look for similar spellings of the last name. So it will first display only the first 5 records found, and you have to click on this Show All Results to see the remainder. Here we have Laura Ochotnicki, so I'm going to click on her result, and we see that her name has been found in the personal files of the Dachau concentration camp. And if we scroll further down, we see the documents themselves. So here is like a registration card that was filled out for her, and you can open the other documents pertaining to that individual. I know this is hard to read, but you can always zoom in to a document. And here we get additional information about Laura, such as the names of her parents and her husband. As I mentioned earlier, the online archive is only a portion of the Arlson Archives database. You can search the full database at the Arlson Archives or one of 7 partner institutions worldwide. In the US, the partner institution is the US Holocaust Memorial Museum in Washington, D.C. If you are a relative of a Holocaust victim or survivor, or of someone whose fate you're seeking, you can submit a request for information on that individual through the Arleston Archives website. Please note that due to the high volume of requests, you should expect to receive a response in about 3 to 6 months. And last but not least is the JDC Archives Names Database. The JDC Archives is the institutional repository for the American Jewish Joint Distribution Committee, the world's leading Jewish humanitarian assistance organization. Notable subjects in this archive include the JDC's rescue operations and support for refugees in overseas havens during World War II, as well as the JDC activities in displaced persons camps in Germany, Austria, and Italy, and its facilitation of survivor immigration in the post-war period. A small but growing portion of the JDC archives can be searched and viewed online. And this names database contains over 500,000 names of individuals who were aided by the JDC from 1914 to 1973, and they come from a variety of historical lists and documents, especially post-war refugee immigration lists and case cards. So I'm going to show you what a sample search looks like, and here I can put in both a first and last name. So I'm looking for an Aaron Greengrass. And again, this is especially useful for the survivors in your family. So here I find 2 potential matches, so I'm going to open the first one. And this comes from a collection of registration cards of Jewish survivors who were registered with the Immigration Department of the JDC after World War II. And here we have a summary of that card, and you can open the card itself and get some basic information about when he registered with the JDC, where he was living at the time in the DP camp Windschein, and similarly, you scroll down information about his wife. Now, the JDC archives donated most of their original case files to a number of different repositories. So in this case, the JDC immigration cards from the DP camps of Germany, or sorry, the actual case files from the DP camps in Germany are held at the YIVO Institute, which is one of the in-house partners at the Center for Jewish History. So if one were looking for the case file for Ella and Aaron Greengrass, you would need to contact the YIVO archives. Once again, when you are unable to find a person when searching by name, try searching the text collection, which includes lists. And you can do so by place name or by subject. And items that have been digitized can be viewed by clicking on the link next to the result. Again, for more contextual information, you can visit the JDC Archives Our Collections page to search for other kinds of digitized materials like photos, films, and artifacts. And lastly, if you're having trouble finding any information on your relatives or come across something that's not online, then you can submit an information request form on the JDC Archives website. So the 4 databases that I've covered today are very broad-based and general in nature. If you are looking for databases for specific countries or subjects, material types, etc., like testimonies, you can check out our Holocaust Research Guide for a listing of these on the Center for Jewish History's website. If you have questions or would like to suggest a topic for a future episode, you may write to us now via the comments box or later by emailing us at gi@cjh.org. For updates on this and other Center for Jewish History programs, please join our email list. If you enjoyed this program, we hope you will consider making a donation at cjh.org/donate now. Your donations allow us to put on programs like this while the center is closed. Thank you for watching and participating. We look forward to seeing you again next Tuesday, August 25th at 3:30 p.m. for the next episode of Genealogy Coffee Break. Until then, stay safe and be well.